What's up, YouTube? I'm Chuck the Liberty Geek, and welcome back to another episode of, Liberty Geek with Chuck. Let's talk some anarchy. Well, maybe not as much today. Now, today I don't really have as much topics to talk about. It's been a pretty slow week, and I also kind of really wanted to do this, so I'm taking an episode to really just reflect on the show. I'm 16 episodes in. I can't believe it. My first episode was so long ago, with my crappy laptop and, that crappy webcam, and it's just been a wild, wild ride. In fact, my first episode was back in May 30th, right after my 23rd birthday, basically. So, here we are. Set's not much better, but webcam certainly is. Microphone certainly is. And just keep in mind, guys, as always, I am always watching the chat while we stream. So, go ahead and say something. In fact, I'll do it first. So, to get started today, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching me. I'm just a nobody, but this channel has really given me a voice to call my own, and I never thought I'd get anywhere, but recently, a lot of my episodes have hit over 100 views, but my Gamergate episode 13, just hit 387 views. That's my highest amount for all of my episodes, so it's been a pretty good show so far. Where have you guys thinking? I mean, long-time viewers, if I have any. I wanted to try to get some guests today, but unfortunately, everyone's busy because the joys of doing your show on a Friday. So, but that's okay. I can just talk to myself, right? But, for real though, so I started this show because I wanted to, obviously, like everyone else on the Voluntary Virtues Network, I wanted to promote, I guess you could say, liberty. I wanted to promote freedom. I wanted to promote voluntarism. Some call it the non-aggression principle. Some call it voluntarism. I just like to call it anarchy, which happens to fit since a lot of voluntarists are also ANCAPs, which is good. But I wanted to promote Anarcho-Capitalism, but a lot of people on this channel do that. So what I thought made my show special was I wasn't coming at this from the normal mainstream view of anarcho-capitalism. I could talk about the same topics that everyone else was talking about, but I wanted to try to push it towards a group that normally claimed to stay out of politics. You know, the gamers, the nerds, whatever you want to call them. But I think it's turned out like that pretty successfully. I've seen a couple of my videos on 8chan and 4chan and even Reddit at one point. So, let's see. My comment tracker is working, guys. So you can live chat at any point you feel like it. I mean, hopefully you would. We don't have many watchers, but that's okay. We just started. So, but yeah, with these people that have always been seen as being apolitical because they don't want to get involved in politics. It's not fun. But I wanted to show them that, yes, to all the nerds, gamers, geeks, whatever you want to call yourself, politics affects you, whether you realize it or not. I mean, I've already done an episode on all the countries that did video game censorship. We talked about how government's relation to the swatting pranks. we have talked about a lot of nerd-related stuff that was still liberty-related, and I'm proud of myself for that. Because these are topics that most people, even within these circles, haven't really thought about, because for whatever reason, it might not be their hobbies, which is okay, because we're not that kind of weird people, you know? So, at the end of the day, no, I won't go there yet. I'll save that for later. So, how am I doing? Even if you're not watching live, put in the comments. I'll read them. How do you guys like the show so far for the long-time viewers? For anyone that's new, have you watched all the episodes from the playlist, or have you just been watching every once in a while when I cover a topic? What topics are important to you? To me, I think we've hit a interesting mark with this show. Like I said, Gamergate hit just over 380 views, which is a lot. I mean, it might not be as many as the views that people like Michael Shankland get on this network, but to me, personally, it's a lot. And I'm really proud of it. And the only reason I got this far was you guys. So, there are a lot of things I need to work on, though. Today was a nightmare when it came to show prep. I mean, there hardly was any. I made the event, but I didn't really invite anyone to it for a couple of reasons. But what I really like so far that I've been able to do, besides, promote Anarcho-Capitalism to a group that doesn't really usually think about it, was look at all these great guests I've had. Randall Parker Jr., Adam Brandt, Seamus Coughlin. I mean, we even had the Robert Kruger on at one point. That's pretty good, isn't it? I believe what has made this show come out so good is not just me, but is my guests, especially my regular guests. Randall Parker Jr. normally does his show on the time slot right before mine, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Friday nights. But he's always taken the time when I ask him to be on my show, and he usually brings something interesting to the table. He's not quite as mainstream as everyone else either. He's in his own weird niche. He likes to talk about the cryptocurrency, and not just the cryptocurrency, but that's like what he's really good at, is talking about like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all those other things, and explaining how at the end of the day they're actually anarchist as opposed to statist. So Adam Brandt, who brings all his great humor to the show, and by great humor I mean just being really obnoxious. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Adam, if you're listening. I'm kidding. But I mean, it's so hard to talk about because it still feels so surreal. Like, I think this show is gonna sound maybe really cool to some people and really silly to other people, but I feel like this show has been like the most ambitious thing I have done in a really long time. I mean, I have almost none of the show times. I think I've missed 2 out of like 18 weeks. That ain't bad. One was last week when I was on my trip, which was a good trip, by the way. And the week before that, I can't even remember why I missed it. So, where do I go from here? Well, I've been thinking about that. I think where I can go from here is to keep having the good guests, try to expand myself to even more guests. I would like to get people like Logan or Wendell or even Kane from Tech Syndicate. I'd like to get other Voluntary Virtues Network hosts who I haven't had on the show. If you ever watch my show, host of the Adorkable Anarchist, please come on my show. I think you're really cool. Especially with those cool paintings that you do. Yeah. Um, I mean, other than that, there's really no other place to go except doing what I'm doing. Finding the topics that pertain to both liberty and nerdom to explain to the gamers, the nerds, the weeaboos, the whatevers that yes, even the state infringes on your hobbies, which don't seem big in the grand scheme of things. Like I said before, swatting is a great example of that. We wouldn't have these swatting issues in a privatized, no government market because even if your community purchased security services from some sort of police agency, people would be held accountable instead of what they are today, which is definitely not accountable. People wouldn't have their shows censored. They wouldn't have their games censored. They wouldn't have their manga or anime censored where they live. We wouldn't have to worry about that. We wouldn't have to worry about this strange era of political correctness that is trying to seep its way into our hobbies. But that's a completely different topic. I won't go into that. But there's a lot of people, well, I guess not a lot of people, but there were a few of my friends, and I told them I was doing this show. They said, Chuck, I don't see you sticking with it. And for a while, I didn't think I would either, but I mean, it's a Friday night, right? Maybe I'll find something better to do. But no, I really like it. I really feel like I'm going and reaching people. Maybe not as many people as, say, Adam Kokesh, but that's okay. I'm not looking to be the next Adam Kokesh. I'm not looking to be the next Michael Shanklin. I'm not looking to be the next Robert Kruger or the next Randall Parker Jr. I'm looking to talk to certain people about this. Adam Kokesh, Michael Shanklin, they have an audience that they are perfect with. I want to be the same way. I don't need to expand my audience to massive worldwide heights, but I want to be really good with the audience I have now. So, again, in the comments, tell me what you think. Some topics I want to do in the future for other slow news weeks are I want to do another oh crap, I forgot the name of this series, but I want to do another episode where I talk about how we can learn about statism through fiction, like how I did my Elder Scrolls episode. I'd like to cover Star Wars at some point, especially since I'm on my Star Wars kick again. I've been reading Book of the Sith. What a great book. But as much as I love Star Wars, it's pretty statist, but I'll cover that when I cover that. But there's so much more that I've been thinking about doing that I haven't done yet. I want to see where the world goes. Now, I know anyone could say that, right? It's so dumb. Well, the world could just go here, right? But it's true. This is a great example of the free market. I can only cover things that I know about, and I can only know about things that other people tell me about because I can't be there for everything. But you guys have been super, super great. I mentioned that, right? I'm pretty sure I did, but let me mention it again. You guys have been really awesome. If you've already skipped my episode by now, I don't blame you. Not because this episode's really boring. I think this is a really cool episode just to sit back and reflect on yourself. But yeah, it's not very political today. So let's change that a little bit. On my first episode, I did an entire episode on introducing myself. Now, I don't think I quite need to do that again, but I'll give you a little bit of brief overview because maybe there's new people who haven't seen episode 1. My name is Chuck the Liberty Geek. Pretty easy, right? Yeah. You can just call me Chuck, though. That's fine. But I am an anarcho-capitalist living in Detroit. Simple enough, right? Except for many of you who follow politics know that Detroit is a pretty statist place. I mean, the thing is that statism comes from both sides, both Republican and Democrat, because really they're just the same thing. My hobbies include gaming on all levels, such as tabletop role-playing games, video games, card games. I do it all. Escapism. If it's escapism, it's probably somewhere within my hobby list, right? But this show is important, to me at least. And that's why I feel like people watch as much as they do. Like I said, most of my episodes make it above 100 views, with my highest ranking episode being Gamergate. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat, and James Barup says, I'm sorry it took so long. Please explain swatting for those of us who haven't watched the videos. So, swatting is simply the notion of, let's say I'm streaming a video game or I'm playing a video game with someone, okay? Let's say, James, if you're still watching, for this example, I am streaming on Twitch. I am streaming myself playing, say, Counter-Strike. Great. You're watching my stream, and through whatever means you have, usually it's through hacking or some sort of thing, you get my residential info. Great. So here's where the swatting part comes in. You call the police to my location, usually on something, a very, very ridiculous charge. You might say, oh, at this address, someone is taking hostages or holding a knife at people's throats, which, yes, these have been real reports. I'll put a link in the episode about this in the chat for you after the episode is done, so you can watch it. But that's basically swatting in a nutshell. It hasn't received as much media attention as of late because it hasn't been done much as of late, at least to the famous people. When I did that video, it was because one of the lead hosts for the Creatures on Twitch was swatted at the time, and it had actually gotten, he was so famous that it had actually gotten mainstream media attention on the likes of like Russia Today and stuff like that. So I hope that clears that up for you. James continues with, I once heard that the difference between Democrats and Republicans is labor-based business versus capital-based business. I wouldn't say that, but that's not what my show would focus on, or that's not what the Voluntary Virtues Network would focus on. We typically focus on how Democrats and Republicans and other political affiliations interact with government and how government interacts with the people and why it's dangerous. Does that make sense? Now, there are plenty of people on this channel that could talk about those type of things way better than I do. If you want to talk about things like that, I would watch shows by Robert Kruger, such as the Voluntary Virtues Roundtable, which I have guest hosted on several times. Several times. I would also watch Randall Parker Jr. is really great for that. Adam Brandt's like good at covering literally just about anything. Like, I don't get it, but he can cover literally just about anything. He'll always say he's not an expert in a topic, but he always makes his point. And I'm not just saying that because he's guested on my show. I've watched his show several times. I've been on his show like twice, but I've been on his other channel like a million times, it feels like. So maybe I'm just biased. Who knows? But if you want to talk economics, I would say your best bets are Michael Shanklin, Robert Kruger, Adam Brandt, and Randall Parker Jr. Especially Robert Kruger and Michael Shanklin. Props to Michael Shanklin, of course. For those of you who don't know, props to Michael Shanklin for actually being the one to make the Voluntary Virtues Network. Without him, I wouldn't be here. And neither would this guy. So thank you, George Costanza, for being on my show with your Deus Ex sunglasses. I didn't ask for government. Me neither, George Costanza. Me neither. I'm really sorry. That joke was awful. Please feel free to leave dislikes for that joke. Thumbs down. But if there's anyone else in the chat that wants to talk, I'm going to leave this open to you guys if you want. Because this ultimately, that's what my show is about, you guys. But just a reminder, we have like 8 minutes left on the show slot. So bring in the questions if you have any. James also points out at the very beginning, I don't know how I missed this comment, but hi, Chuck. You have a very thick beard. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Fuck. I mean, I have a neck. Now I don't. So. Looks like the comment section has fallen pretty quiet now, but that's okay. I'll leave it up with some final thoughts. First final thought. Thank you guys so much once again for giving me these views. I mean, who would have thought that me, like the most ridiculous person on planet Earth, would get any views at all? I was expecting to like get nothing. Like nothing at all. But through like word of mouth, you guys have made me as big as I am. And I'm not like, oh boy, I'm not trying to sound ridiculous and egotistical. It's just, I never thought I'd get as far. I never thought I would have gotten as far as I have today. So it's just pretty surreal. I like where I'm at. Would I like to get bigger? Maybe. That all depends on what you guys want out of me. You know? Because at the end of the day, this is a great example of the free market. You guys are choosing to watch me instead of someone else. Then again, I don't know many people who are doing this this type of show, but that's okay. I'm hoping more will. I really am. So I can take breaks every once in a while, you know what I'm saying? No. Okay. While I'm at it, I like to give some shout outs to some other groups that I am affiliated with. Because why not? If you want to know other places that you can find me, I am the co-creator of The Atlantic Bromance, which is a YouTube gaming channel. YouTube.com/The Atlantic Bromance. I am a show host on Voluntary Virtues Network, which is what you're watching right now. And I am also an admin on the Facebook group Libertarian Gaming. We've had we've had two of the head admins on before. Varys has been on my show several times, and Stetson happened to be on the show the one time I wasn't here. So, and they happened to talk about the topic that I really wanted to talk about when I was on vacation. So I'm going to mention it because I still have 5 minutes left. At the time of that recording, Intel had stopped reporting or stopped advertising on a website called Gamma Sutra. I think that's how you pronounce it. And everyone at Gamma Sutra got mad. But Gamma Sutra was one of those websites that had posted that gamers were dead. Gamers were all basement-dwelling women haters. And so gamers complained to Intel, and Intel, trying to save the company's face, pulled the advertisements out. Good for them. Absolutely good for them. Absolutely, positively good for them. Adam and then saw it a different way, but my idea is good for them. Good for them. I just want to point that out because I really want to say that. But on Friday, just because I want to talk about this because it's my show, a very high up employee of Dell, speaking of Gamergate, which is my most viewed episode again, said that he compared Gamergate to being the ISIS of the technological world. What? 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 Okay. Anyways, I'll just let you think about that. Yeah, you're actually correct, James. Intel has pulled out. Several other companies have pulled out. One of them, I believe, was actually a University of Game Design. Had also stopped advertising on Gamasutra. So good for them. Good for them. This is the free market in action. People complained, and in order to save face, they pulled out, which I'm good. Why they pulled out is irrelevant and none of our business, really. But I still think they made the right choice because I am pro Gamergate. Oh no! I must be a misogynist. Ah! Well, guys, I'm going to call it here. We're almost out of showtime. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Peace, love, anarcho-capitalism, which is basically peace. Maybe not necessarily love, but who needs that, right? Anarchy! All right, guys. Next week, I'm sure that I will have a topic as well as some guests, maybe. So check me out next week. This is Chuck the Liberty Geek signing out. Actually, before I sign out, thanks again, guys. You guys are the best. I'm just kidding. I'm not a statist.